Detroit.
Hey, howdy ho, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast. This is episode of 535. Look at us fly. This is everything Detroit Lions roster. We've got it top to bottom, inside, outside. We got it all covered for you. This is the official Detroit Lions podcast for Reddit. I am your dashing and glorious and gorgeous host, Chris. And with me is the only man, even gloriouser and gorgeouser than the other words I said than I am. My wonderful co-host and good friend, Jeff the Riz Risden. How you doing, brother?
I am great. You'll notice I'm wearing a hat tonight. This is not a throwback. This hat is about 35 years old. I found we're cleaning out since our son went off to college, we're cleaning things out of our house and around, and I found a bag full of like my college stuff. I graduated in 1996, so it's old. And I found this hat, and I used to wear, if you knew me at Ohio University from 1993 to 1996, you probably saw me wearing this hat.
Is it a Schoolhouse Rock hat? I can't quite tell what it is.
Quebec Nordiques.
Oh, no way. Nice.
And
nice.
This comes in honor of the last time that I was in the Lions media room, which was last week, the last practice, the scrimmage where Panay got hurt. Was the last time we were there. We were talking about Sega hockey for a good 20 minutes beforehand, and I became a massive hockey fan because of Sega hockey in the 90s.
Sega.
93, 94, 95, like all
Blades
those
of Steel,
and,
baby. Blades of Steel. I was a Blades of Steel guy.
That was a good one, too. But Sega hockey, my second sophomore year of college was ruined by Sega hockey.
Yeah, I had a friend with a Nintendo. And we would work, and we'd get off at like midnight. We'd head over to his place. His parents would go to bed. They let us hang out. We would just drink and play Tecmo Bowl and Blades of Steel. And man, for a long time I had the B pass cheat goal score thing, right? That no one else had figured out, and the rage. The unjust mitigated rage that I would get. They wouldn't play me until I told them how to do it. It was great. It was good times, fun times. Love it. Speaking of video games,
Sega hockey tournament. Yeah.
Speaking of video games, Call of Duty comes out, doing the beta this weekend. If you hit me up, Chris at DetroitLionsPodcast.com, or you can tweet at me at Detroit Lions Podcast, DET Lions Podcast. We'll hook up. I'll be playing. I took Friday off actually, because I haven't had much time off from work. I'm going to just bury myself in some alcohol and video games this weekend and just have some fun. It's Treyarch. I've toured their studio before. They're great people, so I'm really excited for this one.
It's like college all over again for you. That's great.
Yeah. What is it? We don't grow old because we don't grow old because we don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. Yeah. That's the name of the game, brother.
That's right.
All right.
I'm looking forward to Civ 7 coming out when that comes out, but I have to get a new laptop because mine won't run it. So
yeah.
That's my excuse.
Ooh. and we're going to have an advanced version of Beauty Riz with that, guaranteed. But the cameras have come a long way since that dusty old box. All right,
true.
We got a lot to talk about. We got
Lions. We got a lot of Lions stuff to talk about.
Warm-ups, Detroit Lions roster cut-downs, roster decisions, the hows and the whys. What's the strategy? What were they thinking? What the hell were they thinking? And a whole lot more. We got a great show lined up. Riz, you ready to go, my friend?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's kick this off and break it down.
Football's back.
Awesome.
I got to watch college football last weekend. I get more this weekend. Psyched. High school football starts tomorrow night here in Michigan. It'll be fun. For those of you in the West Michigan area, actually all around the Mitten State, I will be huge tomorrow. I am the huge show tomorrow, and we will be doing mostly Lions stuff, but consider this a little precursor to that. Huge is going off to attend his son's first game of his senior season, and it's a big game for them. His son, by the way, is a very good football player. He's not just making that up. The kid's really, really good. He's getting some D1 looks, certainly a lot of D2 looks, and I'm proud of that kid because I've seen him since he was like here, and now he's like here.
I'm huge every day.
Good job, Ace. You're doing great.
Less huge than I used to be. Ryan Smukula. I hope I said that right. Smukula. Hey, Chris, I left a comment in the video a while ago, but I want to say thanks about those mental health episodes with Jeff were some of the most fascinating content I've consumed on the channel. Great stuff. Yeah, those were awesome. I mean, look, it's an audience that of people that care about that sort of thing. Some people are just not there. Mental health is a difficult conversation still to have in society, although it's getting a little bit more mainstream. But if you haven't seen them, those are fantastic episodes. I mean, if you're going through a tough time, give it a listen. It doesn't matter if it's football or whatever else. There's a lot of good stuff there. So, all right, let's talk about it. We got our warm ups as we gather around the fire here. TP cleanup faves again. I love.
You're gonna have to explain this one because I'm lost.
I love these. I absolutely love writing these. These are a lot of fun. And they seem to be getting more extreme every week. Tim Patrick cleans up, makes his way over from Denver, hits the practice squad for now. Also on the practice squad is a gentleman named Allen Robinson, who, this is interesting. You could say what you said. I'm like, I bet TP makes it to the roster, the regular roster, before A-Rob does. And you said,
I don't know. I said he has to get off the plane without injuring himself first, and that might be a challenge for Tim Patrick.
So we'll see. I
stole that line from a friend of mine in Denver who I was talking about him. Long and the short of it with Tim Patrick, we'll get this out of the way right now. He's very talented. He's also extraordinarily injury prone. And so he fits. I actually made a snide quip on like Tuesday night when it was clear that or Monday night that the Broncos were going to get rid of him. And somebody's like, "Hey, what do you think of Tim Patrick?" And I'm like, let me ask my guy. So I asked my guy, and he's like, "Yeah, that's the line he gave me. It's like, he'll be great if he can get off the plane without hurting himself." So that's catnip for Brad Holmes, though. Like, bring me. You're tired. You're poor. You're sick. You're injured, and we'll see what we can do with them.
Speaking of that, Russ, our t-shirt guy, has put together a fantastic Brad Holmes shirt. We got to get a couple into the building in Allen Park first, and then we'll release it for the people. But it's absolutely it's awesome. I don't know. It maybe not. Right? It's always a long shot, but I have a feeling this is one of the ones that one of the coaches would wear at the podium. Just to say, it's a fun one. So good stuff, Russ. Thank you for all you do, man. You're the best at this. Okay, let's talk about this. So we got Tim Patrick, we got A-Rob on the practice squad. We'll go into depth on the practice squad. We'll go into depth in the roster. But these are two interesting guys because wide receiver has been an interesting position to converse about, and to watch a guy like DPJ made the practice squad, right?
He is not officially on it yet. There is one spot open. The reports that he had signed are premature. He was not on. The Lions released 15 of the 16. There are 16 openings on your practice squad. You're allowed 15. Or, I'm sorry. They announced 15. They still have one open. They did not announce DPJ on the one today. Everybody else is people that you know. But Tim Patrick and Allen Robinson are the only people who were not on the Lions this summer who are on the practice squad now.
And DPJ, I heard is going to be the guy. I heard he's going to be the guy.
Yeah, so. It sounds like that, and he knows the offense. That makes a lot of sense. He can function when he's at his best. He can function better than that. But we didn't see a lot of his best this summer, and that's why he's on the practice squad and not the number 4 or number 5 wide receiver. With them only keeping 4. Not a lot of drama about that one, Chris. There was a lot of people that were wondering what was going to happen with that receiving core.
I'm just going to say, I think the majority of our practice squad right now is starters for the 2020 Lions team. Just so you know.
Oh, hell yeah. And if you look at, so with the practice squad, you're allowed 6 guys on that who are vested veterans. That means that they've got at least 4 years in the NFL. All 6 of those guys would have absolutely started on the 2020 Detroit Lions, or 2021 Detroit Lions. There's no question about it. Now, Allen Robinson has looked washed for 2 years. Yeah. Tim Patrick hasn't played in over 2 years. Like, there's some caveats with it, but name recognition. If that's what's going to get you excited, then he's killing it, man. Like, they're bringing in guys with the potential to be big emphasis on the size there. Receivers, and they need that.
2 things. First, Rob Newsom, DPJ probably missed the invite. That's a good one. Solid right there. Yeah, solid, Rob. The other part is, and this is why these are such good moves. The Allen Robinson one in particular. More so, I think, than the Patrick one, just because it's more injuries with TP. But
Definitely.
A-Rob, he knows. Everybody who comes to this team knows if you do well, you'll play. All the other stuff aside, all the other BS aside, you'll play if you do well, if you take it serious, if you do your job well. If you don't, and you just want to, if you're floating the bowl turd, right? You're not going to see the field. You're not going to see the money that comes with making the field. That's that, period. And a guy like A-Rob, if there's anything left in that tank, this is where he'll show it. This is the environment in which he will show it. Most teams are not built this way, and there's too much because of his name, because of what he used to do. They'll give him a shot, throw him in there, throw money at him, whatever. That's not how this group works. So I'm interested to see what he might have in the tank. If he's the guy, I think it was in the Slack. If he's the guy and has something left, he's a solid 4 yards and a catch every time, right? I mean, that should be what he is able to do without a problem if he's still got anything left. And there's something to be said for that, right? There's definitely something to be said for that. So we'll see.
There's nothing wrong with giving he's a Detroit guy. Nothing wrong with giving a hometown guy a chance to end his career on a title. If he's a ring whore and he chose Detroit, it's a good sign.
Yeah.
Very good sign.
There you go. All right. So that's it. Faves again. So we got the TP cleanup. He cleans up. Faves again. National people, we'll just say, and around some of the gambling locations, the Detroit Lions are favorites against the Los Angeles Rammeronies. What a good way to start the season. Favorites over the Rams. It's another Stafford homecoming. I don't want it. And
There's not a lot of juice about that this year.
I
Thankfully.
want it to stay that way. I don't care about them.
Too.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to hear about it. I just want us to beat their ass and send them home. That's it. The end of story. All the other stuff doesn't matter. There's a particular lady involved who probably tried to make it about herself. Be noisy. Don't take the bait. Ignore. I hope more than anything she classes up and she takes that approach as well, because I'd have a heck of a lot more respect. Like if they came through town and she did class up, keep the lips locked and just let it play out, and hey, good job Lions, you won, or hey, great game, we were able to get one back from you, whatever, and had class, I would have my level of respect would go like the Grinch's heart, 3.5 sizes that day. I just don't anticipate that happening. I just
that would be
don't
out of
anticipate
character.
Yes.
But things can happen. Just one thing with the Rams, they really threw their beat for a loop when they traded their linebacker Ernest Jones. He is sort of their version of Alex Anzalone. Not necessarily like the greatest player that's known outside, but he is the heartbeat of that defense, and they traded him for relative peanuts, and nobody really understands why. And it's not being well received in Los Angeles, and that's going to be something to watch because their linebackers. So we just claimed one today. So we have 7 now. Trevor Nowaski is back. And I saw somebody ask the question earlier. Trevor Nowaski is your backup Sam linebacker. The Cardinals were cross-training him at that. Derek Barnes currently does not have a backup on the roster. Nowaski played that a little bit last year when he was here. They were sort of working to figure out where he fit. He's your backup Sam. So that's one of the reasons why he's here. But he would probably I wouldn't say he would start, but I bet Ben Neiman would for the Rams in week 1. That's where their linebacking core is now. Just to spin it ahead a little bit. We'll do a little bit advanced preview here. Where is Jared Goff at his best?
At home with his gorgeous ass wife. Oh, sorry.
Well, that's middle of the field between 8 and 15 yards. That is where Jared Goff is one of the best quarterbacks in the game and has been for some time. Where's Amon-Ra St. Brown at his best? Where's Sam Laporte at his best? Who do the Rams got there? I bet that favorite number goes up.
Yeah.
Most people realize that.
Ooh.
Buy early if you're looking the Lions on that one. That's all I'll say.
There you go.
They don't match up well with us. They don't.
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, look, JMO, I just, I don't know that they have somebody to cover him. I just feel like
And their left tackle suspended too.
Yeah.
Jackson
JMO could really eat this game. And if he does, do you know, I'm thinking 1984 Tigers, cars flipped over and fires and stuff if JMO eats in game one. And I'm for it. I'm behind that. That would be such, I mean, that's the thing that I've been wishing and waiting and hoping for so long, man, to have him blow it up in game one and start the season
on a
off
nationally
on that
televised audience against a team that a lot of pundits really favor.
Yeah. Oh man. Burn it down. No, don't do that. I'm just joking. But
Please don't break couches.
All right. Well, let's get into this. So favorites again, it's good news. Let's get into the Detroit Lions talk. And there's just one topic across the board today. Oh no, there's not. There's one topic I have to talk about before we get to the one topic. Fantasy football, 4 spots left. We have 4 spots left only. This Sunday is the draft. Intermediate league, $30. Top 4 people in the league win money. Get in there, fantasy.detroitlionspodcast.com. Get in there if you can while your chance lasts. It's a great time, a lot of fun, and we're gonna do some stuff with the leaders this year on the weekly show. We're gonna give some shout outs to some folks, and we'll just have some fun with it. So get in there, show us what you're made of. Got 4 spots left, eat them up. All right, fantasy.detroitlionspodcast.com. All right, everything Detroit Lions roster related.
9:15 tonight.
Nah.
So we gotta be done.
Riz is drafting first. We're going to 9:20.
I'm number 3.
Oh, okay. You're good. All right. This is it. This is the one title.
Brown, by the way.
Everything
Amon-Ra
Detroit.
St. Brown is going to set the NFL record for targets this year.
Not with JMO there.
One of my bold predictions for the year.
Not with JMO there. JMO's taking targets this year.
Not that many.
Oh, yeah. And Tim Patrick and A-Rob out there. Woof. And Monty and Gibbs.
I hope they do something. I really hope they do something, Chris. Like my expectations are really, really low for them.
Yeah.
But something is better than nothing. And right now, JMO's the biggest receiver on the team. He weighs 185 pounds. He's 6'1". Nobody else is bigger than that.
But what do you think about
Saint
your
weighs
A-Robs
200,
and Patricks, even if they're on? I mean, they're behind Raymond, right? They're behind Laporta. They're probably behind Gibbs and Montgomery combined, as far as just as many as they're going to get, and JMO and St. Brown. I mean, you're behind
Brock Wright.
Yeah.
Brock Wright's going to get some target. Brock Wright looked good this summer, y'all.
Yeah.
He's good. A very useful tight end too for this team.
You could see these guys on the field, and it's not even that big of a deal. It's just so you know, it's weird. It's really weird to be the Detroit Lions here because, like I said, that practice squad is very likely all starters in 2020 for this team, if not all, most.
Kyle Pico would have been, or Pecco. I keep saying it's Kyle Pecco would have been our best defensive tackle that year. You will be seeing him certainly promoted in week 1 because I don't think Reeder's going to play. If he does, it won't be much. That was a little bit of a surprise that Pecco didn't make it. I think he was on just about everybody's 53-man projection. I didn't look at a lot of them. I looked at a few, and after I did mine to like compare and contrast and everything, I had him in. I missed that one. I was actually, we had to write it for the USA Today, the Wires. Our biggest surprise cut. Mine was Cal Pecco over Nate Sudfeld because I'm still happy about it.
All right. Okay. I think I for the folks that were getting ads, I found I think I found the thing for that to fix that. I apologize for you guys and gals. We love you. And for our live people, we really try not to make you look at those things. So sorry. Oh, man. All right, let's go. We got this. Let's talk everything Detroit Lions roster. We're going to start off with it's cut down time. It's cut down city. Do we have to do the obligatory, hey, this is a tough day for these guys. They've worked all their lives. So do we have to do the same thing? I mean, I know they have, and I absolutely recognize that. But if it's like you look at people that starting in a week are going to say, this guy's trash. He's garbage. He's a piece of shit. Right. After just the week before, a week and a half before saying, hey, these guys worked their whole life. It's this whole virtue signal BS, right? They don't really care. They're just, oh, this is at that time of year. This is the day that I have to say that part. It's right there on the schedule. It's cut down day. I got to say these guys are good human beings, whoever. They truly are, right? I mean, that's the thing. We shouldn't have to say it, but unfortunately, I guess for some folks we do. But it's hard, and every year you saw it in Hard Knocks. Every year, Coach Campbell and Brad Holmes, it's a difficult time for them. They truly feel that. You know what I mean? They in their soul, because they would keep any one of those guys if they performed. If they didn't have to cut down, they wouldn't cut down. They would churn. They would churn that bottom of the roster and find guys they think that are better, and they would do that. And it's again always just for the team to be the best. But now they're forced to get to the very, very top, the cream of that 53-man crop, plus the practice squad, and it's hard work. If you've never had to let somebody go, you don't know how difficult that is. And then to do that to that many guys in such a short period of time, that's I mean, it's hard for them. It's hard for you. It's just hard everywhere. So here we go. We've got our roster put together, the 53-man. The one that I think we'll start with is we should do a quick memorial for Nate Sudfeld. We barely knew ye, my friend. We barely knew ye.
We knew him better than we wanted to. I really don't want to. I am so freaking
after what we just said about these guys, and you're going there, Riz.
I know you set me up to be evil, Riz, and I don't like that. But
you're a dark man inside, and we all know it.
I have dark thoughts.
Intrusively dark.
I will just say, I am astonished that the Lions made the decision that they did to cut Nate Sudfeld. That does not mean I'm upset about it. One bit.
Yeah.
One bit.
That's just two on the roster, which is interesting because they don't have the emergency quarterback role.
Right. And just so this was a big point of confusion this week. A lot of people thought that, your emergency quarterback can come from your practice squad. No, they can't. We proposed that. It didn't pass. So you have to have 3 on to have your quarterback, your emergency quarterback. Now, we did sign Jake Fromm. I can't fathom them bringing Nate Sudfeld back now. Fromm, by the way, and so this is my theory.
From here to eternity. Sorry, go ahead.
Coming from my head. Jake Fromm's performance against the Steelers opened Dan Campbell's eyes. It's like, wow, he's better than Sudfeld, and he didn't even practice this week. I was at both practices the entire time. He literally did nothing other than catch passes to give to the long snapper. That's all he did. He got 0 reps the entire week. Went out and kicked ass against Pittsburgh.
Think about that too.
I have to think. Yeah.
What? Just the message that you sent. When do you ever see a quarterback catch a ball? It's always somebody catches the ball and hands it to the quarterback. They're using him to hand it to the long snapper. This is the perception of this man from the team at that point in time. Just understand what they're saying without saying something, because that's to me, that is volumes of what they were thinking.
Yeah. And then he goes out with no practice reps. And by the way, he didn't get many the week before. He was brought in as a camp arm while Hooker had a concussion after the Giants game. I think he got like 2 series with the 3s and 4s the first practice of that week, and I think that's it. Like, he just got none. And then he went out there and did what he did. And this is a guy who's bounced around a little bit. I think he was in the UFL. I don't know if he was or not, but never really stood out anywhere else. And he came in and did what he did with the receivers that he did it with. None of those guys are in the league. I think that opened Dan Campbell's eyes. It's like, holy crap, man. Maybe we should take the training wheels off of Hooker and trust him. And if Fromm could come in, Fromm's clearly a gamer. He always has been, going back to Georgia. As I said often with Nate Sudfeld, he's a dead end. And I wonder, again, this is just me like spitballing, brainstorming out loud. I don't know anything about this, but my theory is that Dan woke up and had an epiphany. It's like, I don't need Nate Sudfeld anymore. Jake Fromm can do just as good from the practice squad.
I'd like to. I kind of like to roll back on to what you said a little bit about taking the training wheels off a Hooker, because if we watch the standard play from this staff, they get the year to get healed, and then it's a training wheels year, and then they show up and play.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been repeated a million times. Yeah,
great example of that.
Not Bromar, Levi, right? I mean, it's a standard model that they've done a couple of times. It's really interesting. You would expect that they would have done that with Hooker, but they've changed it. And I think they see something in Hendon Hooker, and I think they like what they see. He's still raw, and I think what they see is the pace at which he's growing. And I think they think that quickly he will be in place, and they're not waiting for it to happen before the training wheels come off. They believe that they're betting a little that Jared Goff is going to stay healthy, and they're not going to need Hendon right away. And they believe that if it gets to that time, it'll be long enough that Hendon will have worked his way up into being able to take that role on and go with it. I love the mindset. It's taking a little bit of the Riverboat Dan kind of mindset of we're going to go for it we're going to fake a punt from our own 20, right? On roster construction. I mean, it really is. And I think it's a good gamble. I really genuinely do. We've seen some of the stuff that Hooker can do in some of the tape. And I think the other side of it, we've seen what kind of a person he is and the focus when we talked to him in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. And what the makeup and strength of this guy mentally is. Look, he didn't have to be there. He didn't have to interview, and he didn't have to do a whole lot of things, but he did, and he did it with his head high, his chest out, and with the confidence of an absolute rock star. He just, to me, he's got the athletic gifts, he's got the mental capability, and I think he's going to very quickly prove that they made the right decision doing this with him.
I'm still stunned that they did it, but I'm so happy that they did. Because if you look at his game against Pittsburgh, first 4 drives, he got 2 first downs. They had -5 passing yards. He took some really bad sacks, and yes, I know the line wasn't good. 2 of those sacks, he had plenty of time. Now, he didn't have anybody open, which is a different story.
Different problem.
But yeah, different problem. They've hopefully worked on that a little bit, but he needs work. He needs time. Am I confident that he'll come in and be great right away if Jared Goff goes down? Nope.
Not today.
I think he
not
will
on August 28th. Right.
Right. What he's done a lot in training camp and in preseason games, his first couple of drives are generally a little shaky. Like the beginning of every practice. Chris, you saw it when he warms up, when he's in practice. His first 10 to 12 throws, they might not look very good. But then he gets settled in a little bit. And that kind of happened against Pittsburgh, too. Some of that was the Steelers pulling their starters. Some of that was the Lions finding Maurice Alexander coming in and playing big, although he did it really with Fromm. But he just gets it. He's going to be a guy that's not always going to be dialed in right as he comes in. You can see a little bit. He had some nerves on him. Like, this is the first game he was starting in a very long time. It showed. He won't have to jump off that bridge the next time. And I've been a big Hooker fan for a very long time. I continue to see things that I like, but it does concern me a little bit. I'm not sure that he's ready, but I'm also very sure that Nate Sudfeld wasn't the answer. So them going with Hooker, let's do it. I'm good.
His name just lends itself to my 12-year-old mind. It's great.
Yes,
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I appreciate your restraint.
It's great. Just how it just flows. It just flows.
You got to work on something with Hooker and Fromm, because there's probably something there.
Yeah. The last one I got, Ash, is 807. Let me know if you've got the 807, and if then I maybe have the count off. There may be one spot left in fantasy. We have to figure that out. We'll let you know very shortly, everybody. Sorry. Okay. Boy, the fly off the shelves.
I can read the comments tonight, and this one is good. because I'm reading it right now. It says, and with Brunel, I can't read who said it.
Red
But it
Hawk.
says, and with Brunel in the room, the veteran shoulder to lean on with Sudfeld isn't necessary. I will also say that the JT Barrett is in there, and Tanner Engstrand, who was a quarterback, is also in there. And Tanner can still sling it, by the way. Brunel can kind of still sling it a little
They
bit.
can.
That's a good comment.
Here's another good one from a guy you know as Don Burr. Well, we haven't seen Hooker with the ones. Him behind our starting O-line probably looks way better. That's a great point.
So we have seen that in practice. And again, he started a little slow. He threw a screen pass that hit Panay. Can't do that. But
well, it depends. Maybe Panay reported as eligible.
He was like the refs would allow that. By the way, Dan Skipper made it. Surprised me.
Yeah, loved it. I love Skips, man. I love
Skip.
Aren't we all, Riz? Aren't we all? Gotta love the Hooker.
Keeping 10 offensive linemen and one of them not being Kingsley Agukun is a choice. We should probably talk about that a little bit. I thought that Agukun had passed Michael Neese. In my eyes, he had, and the way that he took so Kevin Zeitler is our starting right guard. He has not practiced in some time. He will be ready next week. But for the first couple of weeks that he was out, Michael Neese was the starting right guard. The last 3 or 4 practices, Kingsley Agukun was. And Aguakun's a better run blocker than Neese now. And that was an interesting one to me. Now Aguakun's back on the practice squad, which is good. I'm glad he got through and did, because he's got upside. There's something there. And I also say I feel incredibly validated that I was told at the beginning of rookie minicamp that they didn't want Graham Glasgow to be their backup center anymore, that they wanted to have an actual center on the roster. They got one in Michael Neese, and that makes me happy. I was fed good information.
There you go.
You know who you are.
Feed the Riz. All right. Well, let's talk more about this roster. Who else we got there? I don't know if you have heard this guy, number 9, Jamison Williams. He made it. Surprised everybody. Another guy. Another guy. Only this guy. I mean,
he's going to be fun.
You talk about PFF ratings. This guy barely. I mean, I don't know if the chart even gets numbers like this. How he made the team, I don't know. Emonra Sat Brown is suddenly there at a 91.2.
I mean, we haven't really seen him in some time.
Yep.
He didn't play in the preseason.
Yep. Love him.
Chris, 47 guys sat out the last game.
The entire roster.
Something wrong with the preseason. 47 guys on the Lions sat out. 2 of them were injured. Three of them were injured. David Botta, John Kaminsky, and Emmanuel Mosley.
How happy?
Reader wasn't active yet.
How happy is a Risden that we have a number 13 in Craig Reynolds on the field? I know you got a Craig, soft spot for him, man. I know you love our guy here. And I do. I met him. I got a picture sitting down on the sideline here at Tampa. He came up and met him, and he was so awesome. Like, genuinely a good dude, man. Yeah.
Yes, he is. He I talked about this like this summer. He had a great camp. Like, not good. He was great. It was fun to watch him. Like, as I said in camp, he's a hell of a lot closer to David Montgomery than he is being the number 4. And that's nothing against Vaki. Because Vaki's fun, man. I'm not sure that Vaki's going to get a lot of touches on offense, especially as a runner. He might get a few as a receiver.
Can I tell you something? Though this is going to be a thing where just looking at the eye test, okay, strictly the eye test, this is just undermines the credibility of PFF. Craig Reynolds has a rating of 76.5. Jahmyr Gibbs 76.3. Just at the eye test, you say, something's rotten in Denmark here. And
they do weird things. It's been a long time since I went through their training, so I can't really speak to that anymore. But they don't always see the forest from the trees. In their evaluations, and it's very specifically with the linebackers, running backs, tight ends, and safeties. I don't think they understand positional assignments specific to the specific defense very well. I'll give you an example of it. Everybody knows I'm not Ifeatu Malifonwo's biggest fan, but I think they did him dirty in the last preseason game that he played in, because there was a play. It was a touchdown play where Amik Robertson was on Xavier Worthy, who's their version of the Chiefs version of JMO. JMO's better, no problem with that. But he made a move across, and it looked like Amik thought that he had safety help on that side, playing outside technique to get him to go in. But if he had to go and honor the tight end who was running a little bit of an out, and PFF dogged Iffy for the touchdown on that, I'm like, that's in the Lions defense, and I've watched enough to know it. That's your Sam linebacker has got to drop back, and he didn't. So that's just one example of where they just don't see. I wish that they did what they did a few years ago when they employed people who did the teams, who actually like really knew the teams and like understood the concepts and the schemes and the schematic responsibilities of the players. And they've gotten away from that, and that's frustrating because it does undermine their credibility, which is unfortunate. Because there are some very good people there, and there are very smart football people there, but they get overshadowed by the ones that aren't.
Those bastards that aren't. Excuse my French. There's another guy. I mean, how do I want to do this? There's a young man, and that man's name is Trevor. Do you want to talk about him? I know you want to talk about him.
He's back.
Trevor
So happy
Nowatzki.
he's back.
Trevor Nowatzki.
Trevor Nowatzki.
Back. From Saginaw Valley State.
Canton High School. Canton Salem High School, I believe. He went to the same high school that our own Russ Brown did.
Russ Brown! Be looking for Bishop Brown very shortly, coming on the channel.
Good luck to you, Russ, as you lead your football team into combat this weekend.
Bark.
He's a coach, high school football coach.
Yeah. He always tells me shut up when I'm texting
Trevor
him.
is back. So, and I talked about him a little bit when we were doing the warm-ups, but he is back. He got claimed. He was our waiver claim. There were 26 waiver claims around the league this year. That's up from 24 last year. 2 years ago, there was 33. That's less than one per team on average over the last 3 years. Hopefully, we are to the point now where we're like, oh, this guy's never going to clear waivers, because one guy per team doesn't. No Lions this year got claimed, which is a little surprising to me. I thought Stephen Gilmore might. I thought Aguakun might. I thought James Mitchell might. None of them did. Mitchell's back on the practice squad. Gilmore's not. There's been some people that have questioned that. I'll just say he was an easier roster cut than you probably thought he was from making the team last year. It said a lot when he was on the active roster last year. Our cornerbacks were as dog feces as they were, and they still never tried him. That says more about him than anything else.
Oh man! All right.
He did not have a good. He did not have a good camp or preseason. So
yep.
Hope he latches on somewhere else though. There's something to work with there, but his time in Detroit needed to end, and it did. So
Kirby.
Yeah, but Nowatzki is back, and I'm happy about that, man. He's such a hardworking guy. He's gonna, like I said, he's gonna be your backup Sam. They're going to need some training with that, but he is more advanced at that role than Mitchell Agude is. Agude did not make the roster. They were trying to groom him as Barnes' backup. Wasn't really taken all that well. But again, it's only like a week, so you cut the guy some serious slack on that. This guy who's never played that position in his life, he's asked to do it in a preseason game. Yeah, he's going to struggle a little bit. Justin Fields can really run. He played against Russell Wilson. I couldn't think of his name. A little bit too. That's asking a lot.
I have a young man I'd like to discuss. because I think
Yeah.
it is news. It's not a quarterback type position, but it's always an interesting position. Young man named Hogan Hatton has made the Detroit Lions team, and I think that was a little bit of a surprise for a lot of people. That they would make that change. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to make
hard
that
to beat
change,
an incumbent.
Yeah, especially at that position, right? You've got a whole season of live fire reps that you're looking at, and it's the first mistake he makes is going to be like, "Ugh," right? I mean, it's a risky one to go with.
It is.
But Hogan Hatton makes a team. Long snapper watch is over for 2024.
Yes.
We have our man.
I'm excited about it. He earned it.
His
He's
balls
good.
make
He's
the
a
distance.
fantastic athlete. And Scott Daly is now the Chicago Bears long snapper because theirs went on IR and they signed him. He's from there. I get it. He's from, I think, Naperville. So, I get why he would want to go home.
Mm-hmm.
Scott Daly was a good guy. He's a good long snapper. He was fine here. I would have been perfectly happy had he won the job too. But
yeah.
He didn't. Go ahead.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's talk about who else who's a surprise for you, Riz, that's on the live 53.
Okay. So Michael Neese, I talked a little bit about him. I expected a Guakun. I also wasn't sure that they'd keep 10, and they did. So that was interesting. Lawrence Strickland, another undrafted rookie, free agent from Ball State. He is a body slammer of a hitter, and they're teaching him how to cover on the fly. And it's fun to watch because Dan Campbell brought him up in a couple of different press conferences, unprompted. Like, that guy can go, man. Like, there's something there. He made the team because if he's going to be out probably week 1, maybe a little bit longer. They've been very, very vague. By the way, they've been vague behind the scenes too on Iffy. So we don't really know what's going on. We have heard heel, but we've heard it could be an Achilles, but not a tear. Like, we've heard.
And heel could be a command
issue.
Heel could be a command as well. Let's be honest.
It could be. Yeah. Who knows?
It could be in the imperative versus the.
So hopefully he gets back because they do need him. He's a big part of their red zone defense specifically. They bring him in a lot in the old Will Harris role. Mm-hmm. Remember how Will Harris always used to be on the field in the red zone? Yeah. And it drove me freaking crazy. They have massively upgraded that role by putting Iffy there. That makes me happy because he's really, really good when all the action is in front of him. And in the red zone, he doesn't have to worry too much about guys behind him. And that's a great usage for him. With Brian Branch as your starting safety, he and Kirby are never leaving the field. Like, finding a role that if he can play, and that Brandon Joseph, who is the number 3-4 safety, however you want to call it, he's a lot more of a coverage safety. You don't really want him tackling. You saw that in Pittsburgh. You really don't want him diving at feet that aren't there anymore.
And it's
an interesting mix.
With his name badge in the back, you've got Brandon Joseph and Kirby Joseph. Their team's not going to know who's out there. They're going to be confused. I'm just fucking around here. It's negative 3D chess there. All right.
But good for Lawrence Strickland for making it, because there's a guy who was not going to be. I don't think he was on many 53-man predictions. He was not on mine. I thought he would be a priority practice squad guy. And, they chose differently, and I'm always happy for the unheralded guys to make it. And he's a MAC guy. And,
got the MAC sack. I want to give a shout out to a guy who I didn't think was going to be back this year, and he's made the 53, Kendall Vildor, and he showed up really well in training camp this year and some of the preseason. I love that kind of. I mean, I'll use the vernacular. I love a guy with that kind of dog in him, a guy that didn't stop, didn't give up, didn't just flatline. He worked and he improved. That there's a lot to be said about that. That's something that will get you in with this coaching staff and get you in with this leadership in a team like this, to put that grind, put that improvement in there. Good on him. God, that pass against San Francisco is just it burns. I know it burns him. I know it hurts. But to see him come back the way he has, good on him. I have another guy I want to ask you about because I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I'm surprised. I don't know. This is like an I don't know what to do with my hands kind of a thing because I it's like standing at a fork in a road that goes 6 different ways, right?
Okay.
James Houston on the 53.
Yeah. Yep.
He never really popped this preseason. I know he's been hurt. We've been watching him, right? Has he recovered? Haven't seen the bend, haven't really even seen him in a position where he would actually test it. And that's just me. I'm sure he's been in that position throughout the season. I haven't seen him in that position. He just hasn't, he's been there, but that's about it. Talk about him on the roster, what they're thinking, the whys, and where your head's at with Mr. James Houston, whose memorial horn we have at the ready at any point in time if needed. There you go.
There we go. All right.
I wanted to make you wait because the visuals were worth it. Sorry, brother.
That's why you watch the live show, ladies and gentlemen. So he made it. It was clear when Agude got cut, or word that Agude was getting cut, that he was going to make it. And I had him 50-50 going into the cuts, whether he was going to make it or not. And, you know, there's the bend has not come back. We've not seen it in practice. You can ask anybody who's been in practices, even folks who watch just training camp as guests of the team. That's not back yet. Now, one of the things that has done, he has worked at his craftsmanship as a rusher. He's had to learn how to win with his hands a little bit. He's had to learn how to win with his hip and his shoulder a little bit better because he couldn't do that in the past. He relied very much on setting up where he could use his bend. And he's learning how not to rely just on the bend to finish the sack. He got a great sack against Pittsburgh, and that was very encouraging. I thought that sack probably got him on the roster because when Dan Campbell talked about that he was a tough call, like, Dan's not blowing smoke up your ass, man. Like, he was legitimately on the roster bubble.
Right.
I don't want Dan blowing smoke up my ass. He was chewing tobacco, and that's just nasty. You don't want that near your ass.
I would take it any day of the week from Dan Campbell. He can do anything he wants to me.
All right. See your Brady Quinn.
he is he can do anything he wants to me.
All right. Well, we'll not go down that road. So Houston is learning. I suspect that he's going to be a weekly inactive unless somebody ahead of him is hurt. And Josh Paschal has played very well. Josh Paschal talked about embracing being a power player and how Terrell Williams, the new defensive line coach, has been like, yeah, find an identity. Be what you want to be, but be something. And he's done well with it. He's not nearly as flashy as James Houston. In practices, I will tell you, he's been more effective. He can work the inside shoulder of the tackle. He can go inside and attack a guard. Houston can't do that. It's just not there yet. Houston cannot and has never been able to go backwards. That's one of the reasons why they kept trying to force him to play Sam, and it didn't work. He just doesn't. That's not how he wins. He wins by getting burst off the snap, getting into the tackle and reacting to the tackle, whether you can go inside or outside, and figuring out how to get to the quarterback from there. And he's really, really good at tacking to the quarterback. That's probably his best quality, is when he has an opening, he gets from A to B like that. And that's valuable. But that's a very limited role in this. And I'll give an example of when he's a tell. He's still a tell. The scrimmage, the second team offense was in. He was on the second team defense going against Nate Sudfeld as the quarterback. And Sudfeld saw him lined up where he was, and Sudfeld switched to a run call from like a swing pass. And Craig Reynolds took a delayed handoff, waited for Houston to run past him, took off 60 yards down the field untouched.
Yeah.
Until James Houston can stop doing that, he's not going to play much. But he made the team. They see something that's good. I do think that there was a market for him had they wanted it, but it appears that they're happy with having him, and that's look, if he can recapture anything that he got from his rookie year, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I wouldn't count on it though, just because of the medicals. And actually, Dr. Jimmy Leal did a piece today at Lions Wire. He's working for me now. I love it. Thank you, Doctor. You're doing great stuff. But he talked about, and he gave some examples of other guys who've had that same injury, and it's not an easy one. Yeah. That's a devastating injury. When you break both of the bones at the top of your ankle and have other issues with it, which he did, that's not an easy recovery.
Nope.
So my plea to people is do not get angry at James Houston for not being who he used to be.
He's got to learn to be somebody a little different.
Don't do that to him.
And he's learning to be somebody a little different, right? And so we'll have to see what that growth is.
He's trying very hard to do that.
Yep. And look, the one thing I'll kind of well, I can point to many of them, but the thing you point to is the Lions don't sit on people, but if they believe in you, they'll wait and work with you. And obviously, there's still something that they see in James Houston for them to keep him around. Question in the chat that I want to go to, and I'm going to answer it with very succinct one sentence, but you can go on from there. What was the issue with Gilmore? Too small, found his ceiling. That's what I'm going to say. Riz, you can elaborate any further on that if you want.
He's 170 pounds soaking wet, and he can't run long. And you saw it in the Pittsburgh game. He got beat over the top 3 plays in a row. They only caught one of them, but he was toast. That happened regularly this summer. When you saw Caden Davis getting a lot of buzz early in camp, it was because he was going against Stephen Gilmore.
Yeah. It's like Riz was, top 50% in his class as a Bobcat, but you throw him into Harvard, he's going to struggle. And that's kind of where we wound up. You got to the
class.
Big
I was 28 out of 228. I just missed the top 10%.
Oh, look at you! I barely made it out. All right, let's keep going. Boy, the more they change, the more they stay the same. Here's another good one. Jeff Homan in the chat. I know it's not a popular take, but I truly think we're going to miss Josh Reynolds this year. Take away the NFC Champ game, and the guy was clutch as hell. Thoughts? And there was also and I apologize, I'm not going to attribute this because I don't remember who said it. We've got $45 million in cap. It was $9 million for Reynolds. Why didn't we sign him? Right? I have a thought on the cap piece, and I'll hold on. Okay, I think the cap is going to be a lot of rollover cap for us next year because we've got guys we want to sign.
Oh,
yeah. And when you can roll over and you can upfront them the money and then make it a normal one over time, that's simple math. That makes it real fun, real easy, and you can take care of a lot of guys you normally couldn't take care of. So there's that side of having the cap. Don't just because the money's available, don't go Bob Quinn it. Be smart with how you use it. Sometimes you spend it. You know when to hold them and know when to fold them, young man. Sorry.
Know when to walk away. Know when to run.
I'm from an era where there was a website called Men Who Look Like Kenny Rogers. It could still be around. I haven't been there in 2 or 3 decades, but it was hilarious. Yeah, Kenny Rogers. I don't think people even know who he is anymore, but that's one of the things in the cap side. On the player side, Riz, talk about why we don't see a Josh Reynolds on this team, and is there exposure based on the way we have the wide receivers lined up on the practice squad and on the roster right now?
Yeah, there's absolutely exposure. He's probably better than Khalif Raymond. I love Leaf, but he's a different style of player. So let's put it that way. By the way, just for fun, if you're down on Leaf, compare him and Hollywood Brown over the last 3 years. Look at their catch rates. Look at their explosive play rates. I think you'll feel a little bit better about Leaf if you're one of the many people that's drafting Hollywood Brown way too freaking early in fantasy drafts. Just saying. Yeah. But Reynolds filled a role, and some of that was the fact that Jared Goff trusted him, and Goff doesn't have that. He has that with Leaf, like no question about that. He doesn't have that with Isaiah Williams. He doesn't have that with any of the people who might be elevated from the practice squad in any random week. That's frustrating. The Lions had a number. Reynolds got more than that from Denver. Not a lot more than that, but he did get more than that. And I don't want to give the numbers because I don't know them for sure. Dave Burkett tweeted about it about a week ago because it's been something that we've gotten asked a lot. And I was told not long after he signed in Denver that there were people that were close to him that were like, man, you got to get out of Detroit. And like, he pretty much downplayed that. And I appreciate that. He actually had some of those people contact me and like, hey, that wasn't it. It was a financial decision. The Lions had a number. He got more than that. Not again, they're not going to break their budget for a guy who's going to be 5th in targets. Like, I get that. You can be the Dallas Cowboys and weirdly overpay for random people and not pay your stars, although they did pay CD. Good for them. By the way, I'm not one bit afraid of the Dallas Cowboys this year. Not one bit. None. But
in Dallas, they're always a little bit scary, though. Let's be honest, because you got
I
a couple of guys on the field.
I
and
get promotional emails. I get promotional emails from like gambling houses and things all the time. I got one yesterday. 89% of the money that's on the Dallas Cowboys is on their season win total under. And that would set a record. That's never happened before.
So I'm gonna do a little side jag here,
which is crazy,
but it's related. 89%. I promise.
Casinos are gonna make some money if Dallas is good.
I got inexplicably triggered today watching the multiplayer reveal on the Call of Duty thing. The beautiful thing about working in a digital space is you can always play the videos in the background while you're working, right? And so watching the gameplay and some of the cool stuff coming out, but one of the creators they had was wearing a Cowboys jersey, and I just wanted to throttle that guy so bad. I mean, all I could think of when I saw him was, you know how like the old Bugs Bunny cartoon, they would have like a guy and all of a sudden he would like turn into like a lollipop and it would say like dum dum on the wrapper or whatever to prove that he was a sucker. That's I couldn't stand this guy at all. I was like, what a dope. I am unfortunately triggered by everything Cowboys. I can't stand them. The history and the stupidity that's gone on in Dallas with that team and the refs and the Lions. I used to love it because we ruined their world in the 90s, but it's now the shoes on the other foot. And I don't like it anymore, damn it. I don't like it at all. It sucks. Oh, man. Okay, let's go. Got Ash. Ash just let us know the dailies will be starting on Monday with the Daily DLP. He will be back. And he says, happy Labor Day, you filthy animals. So there you go.
Thank you, my favorite Canadian friend.
Can't wait for Ash the Daily. I love Ash's sense of humor. I mean, Ash is one of those guys that, I don't know, like if I met him on the street, he's a lot like Case. I never probably would have wound up being friends with him, but he's such a good dude. And the way his brain works, it's like he picks at people, right? He finds their weaknesses and just needles in there. And it's exactly the way I like to to operate. He like psychologically messes with people. It's fantastical. It is absolutely fantastical. I love how he does it, and people that take it seriously will always be triggered. But if you can step back and realize who he is, and he is genuinely one of the most wonderful human beings. He's a porcupine. He's got all these needles, but he's really soft and furry underneath there. He's such a good guy. But I guess you're not supposed to get that.
Porcupines are kind of cute. Porcupine Tree, by the way. I listened to some of their live album today.
Yeah.
Neil, disconnect and wait. I love that song. I love that song, Chris.
Yeah,
Love that
yeah,
song.
yeah. Speakeasy Sports here. How you doing, brother? He's like, it wouldn't suck so much if the losses came without controversy. Exactly. Like, I don't irrationally hate the Cardinals, which we had a bunch of crappy losses to them. But they were just crappy losses.
We did, didn't we? We had random, like, even when we were good and they weren't, we had random losses to them.
Yeah. It was like,
Cowboys are
whatever. Cowboys are something different.
I've been treated very well by everybody that I know in the Cowboys organization, primarily their media relations people, but I know a couple of their players. Like, I like Dak Prescott. I do. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he can win with Dak Prescott. I don't think Dallas can, but I think another team can. Like, he's a good quarterback.
Okay,
I think he gets. So, Chris, I used to say, and when I first started doing this show back years ago, one of the things that I told you was, I don't think there's another player in the NFL who gets hated on by his own fan base more than Matthew Stafford. And I think that was true at the time. That morphed a little bit. I will say the hate that Dak Prescott gets from Dallas fans is far beyond anything I ever saw from Stafford. The hate and negativity, and far beyond what Goff got when he first got here and wasn't Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
It's weird because I think Dak Prescott is of equal tier to Jared Goff, but I don't think he's had a lot of help, and I don't think that he's never gotten really a chance to prove that he's a clutch guy because they just haven't been in any games because they're overhyped all the time. They are again this year too. At least that's what the bettors are telling us, that they think they're overhyped. We'll see.
Yeah. We will see. There's more to come on all that. All right, I want to go a little bit meta on this, Risden. By the way, I'm going back. If you're around on the Call of Duty on Friday for the beta or all weekend, email me or hit me up on Twitter. I'll play. We'll party up. I'm PlayStation 5, but I think they're all cross-play anyway right now. So I'm going to put some hours in. I've got time. And I'm like, this is the first time I have a little bit of time, like that I'm not like working and doing stuff for this. And there's like the season hasn't started. I'm disappearing from the earth and just melting into the game machine. So
this weekend, other than college football, is my like last time to just chill.
Yep.
Monday, I will be in a kayak on a river for a very long time.
It's going to be unfiltered alcohol-fueled Chris this weekend. So join the fun while it's here. All right. So now I want to take a look at this. I want to step back a little bit, Riz. I want to talk about
comes from that.
Everything good comes from that. All the stuff before that we talked about before the show today.
That was kind of a fun conversation. By the way, we were late. It was my fault. I did not have the proper microphone thing going on.
I was rambling. It was me. You don't have to take the heat on that one, brother. All right. So the last one, I want to take a strategic look at the Detroit Lions and the strategy behind how they constructed this team, because they made some choices that were a little surprising. And I think we need to look at why those choices were made. So go ahead and hit us in the comments on the if you're watching this afterward, we'll catch those comments. We'll talk to you in the chats, but live in the chat, hit us up if you have any questions as why the heck did they do this or why didn't they do that. We'll go ahead and answer those on the fly. But Riz, I'm going to pose to you the question and answer. I'm going to give you both. Okay. What is the most questionable thing you think they did, and then why do you think they did it?
I think going with 10 offensive linemen, because it prevents you from having a fourth tight end. It prevented them from, well, you know what? I'm going to go in a different direction. They kept 6 linebackers. Now they have 7. They run a base 4-2-5.
Yeah. That's so. I was doing the PFF lineup look today, right? And you got your base, which is 5 in the line and 2 linebackers, and you have your nickel, which is also 2 linebackers. It's like, what? Wait, huh? That's right. I think you went to the right place. What in the hell was the thinking here?
So some of that is the new kickoff and kick return. It used to be that defensive backs were very big on that. They're not going to play much there. The days of Chase Lucas being, an elite special teams player, CJ Moore, they're not big enough. They're just not. They want linebackers. They want Ben Neiman. They want Germ. They want Trevor Nowaski. They want Lauren Strickland as a big safety. Like, that's what they're looking for now. And that has changed. So that's part of it. Part of it is that Derek Barnes is going to be on the field a lot as your Sam backer. If you want to just call him an extra pass rusher, I said it last week on a different podcast that I did with our lads. I think Derek Barnes finishes second on this team in sacks, maybe third because Aleem might get more. I think Barnes is getting 8 to 10 sacks this year.
Oh my God, the blood is rushing
he's
away.
He's going to play
dizzy.
a lot. And I will say the move to having Brian Branch play safety full time opens up the potential to have another linebacker in there, because if let's say the opponent comes out and they're in 11 personnel, Branch can slide up and play. You'll slide Kirby to single high, put Branch over your slot. You'll have your two outside corners, Terrion and Carlton, and then you've got Derek Barnes. They don't have a tight end.
I love this, and I want to take it to another question from the chat because they're flying fast and furious here. It is related to tight ends, but on the other side of the ball, will the Lions run more 2 tight end sets with a shallower receiver room? And I'm going to start by yes, because Mr. Brock, who Mrs. DLP is smitten with this year, by the way. I don't know if she didn't realize that. She's like, where did he come from? Like, whoa. He's got the hands, and he looks like he's going to be a significant. I mean, look, Laporta's on the team. He's, of course, the number one. He's going to take all the big headlines and stuff, but that just makes Brock such a sneaky, puts him in such a good spot with the qualities and the skills that he's been showing. He is absolutely another wide receiver out there and another option, potentially ahead of Leaf or somebody else.
Leaf getting more than Leaf would surprise me, but he will get more than whoever the number 4 wide receiver is. No doubt in my mind about that. They run a lot of 2 tight end, but only one of them's in line, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're both split out. Like they run a lot of funky stuff. Ben Johnson's a mad scientist, man. Brock Wright has earned his trust. He has earned the trust of Jared Goff. You see a lot of 2. We saw a lot of 3 tight end sets. Parker Hesse as the number 3 tight end. We should probably talk about him a little bit. That was a decision that was made. Yeah. That's a good decision. I respect this one because they could have had the sort of blocking specialist in James Mitchell. They could have had the receiving specialist in Zylstra. They split the difference and took the best all-around tight end in Parker Hesse, who, by the way, will also be your fullback on occasion. And you will see situations where Parker Hesse is an H-back. Sam Laporta will be in the slot. Brock Wright will be in line on that side. You're going to have Jamo standing out on the other side. Defend that.
And I'm just going to say on the James Mitchell
Where's your safety going to go?
On the James Mitchell front, right? The fact that he's on the practice squad, they haven't given up on him. But I would say that he is absolutely on notice, right? The James Mitchell experiment could very well end after this year. And it'd be unfortunate because he has the physical capabilities. It's just he hasn't been able to stick the landing on this.
He's one of those guys. I'm going to go back in time. I don't remember what his RAS score, but I think I remember him being a pretty good athlete. And he's a guy that there's just no suddenness to his game at all. It's just not there. Like, I know he tested better than that. That didn't come out that way.
What was
it's
it?
Like Jadeveon Clowney. Like Jadeveon Clowney after his first knee, like he wasn't the same dude at all anymore. He had to relearn how to play. He's actually a good example for James Houston of a guy who had to figure out, like, he was dominant. He was the number 1 overall pick in the draft because of his physical skills. They got taken away, and he had to learn how to do things differently.
Was your line? This is one of your first lines in this podcast when it was still Case and I. It was like episode 10, I think, was the first one you were on. And you were talking about suddenness, and you said he has the suddenness of a refrigerator. Is that
yes. He does.
We weren't talking
Michael
about him
Roberts.
specifically, but
We're talking about Michael Roberts.
Yeah.
Who I loved very much, my draft crush that year. And look, I sort of knew that coming out of Toledo. I'm like, this guy can be effective. Turned out I was wrong there.
Yeah, he could be, but he just wasn't, right? Okay, so a couple things on the 8 to 10 sacks.
Yeah.
Keep talking dirty, me, Riz. I'm almost there from Ryan and Michael Lucci's 8 to 10 sacks for Barnes. Chris, can I borrow a box of Kleenex? There you go. All right, so Michael has a question. Why didn't the Lions build more depth at the edges? If Davenport goes down, which is likely based on history, what will the opposite side of Hutch look like? Right, Houston and the interior boys are going to make a whole world of difference this year compared to last.
Aleem's going to be very good this year. I think Levi's going to play more. Pascal did have a good summer. He needs to get more than 3 sacks in 2 years. No question about that. He knows that.
Yeah,
he's in position. The issue that I have is that he's always hurt. Houston's hurt now, separate from his injury that he missed last year with. And Davenport's always hurt. Like, there's some risk going on there. Ukwu making the practice squad is good. He's got some juice. I thought he was a better pass rusher this summer consistently than James Houston was. That they deferred to Houston is probably a nod to him, like, being there and having done that before. But if you looked at them just this summer, there's not a single person who was at any practice who would take James Houston over Ukwu. But he's earned that. Yeah. And they're giving him that respect. I respect that. That's good.
100%.
But they do have guys waiting in the wings. And again, Barnes playing the Sam, you're going to see a lot of him. A lot of him. I would say, roughly speaking, they were in 3 linebacker sets with Barnes as the Sam more than 40% of the time this summer.
Yep.
And that was including when 3 wide receivers were on the field. They stayed in that look a lot more because they trust their linebackers and they trust Jack Campbell and Alex Anzalone in coverage enough. They trust their safeties in coverage enough with Branch going back there that they can get away with that and do it. And it's a way for them to bring more pressure than the offense can block. And it's worked so far. Look, we wanted Aaron Glenn to try new things. He's trying.
Yeah.
We'll see if it works in the regular season. It worked pretty well in the preseason.
So another topic that's come up, Steve-O, has anyone been watching Hard Knocks? The Bears got a good roster. If Caleb Williams plays good, that could be a real problem. Moore, Rome, and Allen are a hell of a trio. We talked about this in length behind the scenes at Senior Bowl about Caleb going to Chicago and how that's actually a real problem. After Detroit, yes, Chicago's getting scary. Most Lions fans are in denial about it. I think the first step is that there's a change in our division that's happening right now. Oddly, I feel like Minnesota's always just going to be the Minnesota, like number 2, number 3. Like, that's just perpetually where they're going to be.
They're in a rough spot.
But that team that inspires so much hatred from the Lions, those Packers, all you have to know is they signed themselves Malik Willis. He's their backup quarterback.
Traded for him.
Yeah,
they traded for him, Chris.
So that and some of the other things we've talked about it. The
they
end
also
of the
got
season
screwed on the kicker front. They messed up at kicker pretty badly.
The end of the season before last, we talked about a passing of the torch in the division to the Lions. We've seen that. It's played itself out. Now, this is going to be a Bears and Lions division. It really is. And I could see there's potential. I just don't think they are going to continue to trail. I think they're going to continue to trail downward. I am hoping, but not this year, but I can see a future of the Mike Tomczak era returning, and I'm here for it. I am freaking here for it. But I think the Bears are the big threat. And here's where things get really funny with the financial situation in San Francisco, as goofy as it is, without even signing Ayuk yet. You could see a championship game of the Bears and Lions. Like you could.
That would be surprising to me.
Yeah, it would be.
I could see the Packers and the Lions. I could see the Falcons and the Lions.
Well, yeah. I'm not talking this year. It's Caleb's a rookie. But I'm talking as this division is evolving. That could very well be where things get to. and it's going to be interesting. Again, I'm not talking strictly this year. I'm talking about the evolution of the division over the next 2 to 3 years. So I'm really nervous about this Bears team, and the NFC North could very well return to that black and blue division of many great teams that it once was. That's where all the competition sits. And of course it happens when the Lions are good. Okay, James Hillman, will they call it Tim Patrick or Allen Robinson?
Good question. We'll see.
I think it depends on the injury status of TP.
Yeah. Look, everything I heard from, and I talked to several people in Denver over the last 36 hours, he was great this summer, but the Broncos didn't trust that he could stay healthy. And that is what it is. He hasn't played since 2021.
Yep.
It's a long time to be out.
Yep. All right, Riz. We're pushing up against our clock here.
We are.
We've got most of our topics covered here. Anything else on the strategy that you want to take a talk about? You want to wrap up on how the Lions built this team and what they're built for this year?
I think they're built, going with 2 quarterbacks I like. We talked about that. The tight ends only keeping 3 surprised me a little bit, but they got Zylstra and Mitchell back on the practice squad. Probably see one of them elevated sooner than later. You get 2 elevations per player. Probably might burn through those pretty quickly and then see which one they like better. I don't know. Offensive line is fascinating to me because they are rolling. I don't know, man. Their performance in the preseason was not good. Not Sorsdal, Alshika, Nice wasn't great. Aguakun had his moments. He wasn't super great. Manu is getting better by the day, which is great because he needs it.
Yeah.
He actually played really well against Pittsburgh, and that was very encouraging to me. But they are. This is my biggest concern about the team going into the season. We'll split off into a topic we're going to do next week. I'll say it now. If any of the starting offensive linemen on this team get hurt, it is much bigger deal for this specific team with Ben Johnson at the offensive coordinator and Jared Goff as the quarterback than it would be for any other contending team to lose them starting offensive lineman. So pray to God that Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell and Frank Ragnow and Kevin Zeitler and Graham Glasgow all stay healthy and play every freaking snap because they need to. I lost confidence in Colby Sorsel. He started out great in camp. Once the pads came on, it wasn't there. Manu's not ready for that yet. He's just not. Hopeful that he will be next year. I like it. I like what I see so far. It's been better than I expected. I worry about that interior offensive line. And the fact that they put so many resources into the offensive line tells me that they don't trust it either. They don't know where they're going to turn.
Yeah.
That's just my take on it.
There you go. We got Don.
It was very interesting that they one other thing. It was very interesting to me that they only kept 4 defensive linemen and that they also haven't done anything with John Kaminsky yet. Now, they might have done that while we're on the air here, but Kaminsky's still on the active roster as of now. That will not last. Obviously, he's out until at least December, if not longer.
Yep, he's still active as of the latest I've got right here. I will. Oh, yeah, no, that wasn't the thing that changed. Okay, I will say just very quickly. We have Don Burr. He's got to go troll a Bears chat in 2 minutes. Don, just put that in the chat in the chat so everyone knows where to go. It's go spit roast some Bears fans. They're choking on a sausage, pushing their stool for them. Give them a good time. It's always fun. All right, so we got all that going on. That's a look at the roster. That's the big one. Next week, what do we got? We got your daily DLPs kicking off on a Montag, known as Monday, for all you big fans. And Ash is back with some great stuff. We've got Bish and Brown starting to lay it down and bring it out. We've got Dr. Liao live bringing it here for you. And of course, Riz and I back at it. We're going to be kicking, screaming, pounding, and pumping. Get in, have a good time. It's time. The fire hose is about to start. Enjoy this weekend, folks. Again, hit me up on the COD thing. I love to play with people. Remember to also, don't forget about us on Patreon, patreon.com/Detroit Lions podcast, patreon.com/Detroit Lions podcast. You get access to the Slack chat, which is the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet. It has been fire the last couple days, been going off. Get in there. $5 or more a month will get you access to that chat. You just go into the Patreon and subscribe on a monthly rate, and you'll get logged into that Slack, or you get an invite to the Slack shortly after, within a couple hours. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, the Twitter machine, as they say, the big X. The face wrist at Jeff Risden, as you see below that mug, and at DET Lions podcast. Everything Detroit Lions podcast, as far as scheduling and everything else, comes through there. Special shows, giveaways, anything else we're doing is always the Twitter machine. So at DET Lions podcast, stay tuned and know what we got going on. And we're pants free. I mean, who doesn't want to be without their pants? I mean, I ain't wearing pants now. Never get the pants up.
Ow, that hurt.
Be sure to go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com, subscribe to the podcast, because Riz loves nothing more than grunting.
I love to come into your automatically. I really do.
Oh my God, your audio cut out at just the right time. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to see you. It was, the ear went away. Oh, thank you. Oh my God, it's falling apart. It's truly, it's worth the video, I promise. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to see you next time on the Detroit Lions podcast. Everything, like, people start to leave when they see the goodbye stuff. They miss some of the craziest stuff. It's nuts, man. Oh, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time on the Detroit Lions podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, no paintings without holes in them, because we're your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection. We love you. Let's get this season going. We are on fire.